Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're digging into something happening literally right now, a digital crisis in Nevada. It's a statewide network security incident started Sunday, and it's still causing ripples today, Tuesday. Our mission really is to get past the headlines, figure out what's actually going on, and, unpack what this tells us about our digital world. Okay, let's get into it.
Yeah, it's fascinating, isn't it? How quickly these cyber events can just boom, impact critical services. Nevada is a really stark example of that. You often hear about these threats in the abstract, but this deep dive, well, it should give you some crucial context, help you connect those dots between the infrastructure and the services you might use every day. It's very real, very immediate.
It absolutely is immediate. This isn't some past case study. It's live. So the timeline, first detected early Sunday, August 24th. By Monday, things got serious. In-person state services paused statewide. Websites like the main nv.gov portal and others just offline. And phone lines were patchy, sometimes completely unavailable. And that's still the situation as we record this on Tuesday the 26th.
It's still ongoing, yes.
And the scope is pretty wide, right? It's not just one website having a bad day.
Not at all. You've got nv.gov down, public safety site unreachable.
Yeah.
And the phones, not just office lines, but some really key law enforcement dispatch numbers were having outages or slowdowns. Imagine needing a state agency and just nothing.
A digital brick wall, basically.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And if you step back and look at that broad impact, DMV, utilities, traffic management, it immediately tells you this isn't isolated. It strongly suggests a systemic issue, something probably deep in the network core, causing this cascade effect across so many connected state services.
And it goes even further, showing how interconnected everything is, sometimes in ways you wouldn't expect. Okay, so DMV counter stopped, Public Utilities Commission hit, law enforcement admin services delayed. But here's a really interesting detail. The transport folks, they proactively disconnected traffic cameras and those big freeway message signs.
Well, proactively. Wow.
Yeah, not because they were attacked directly, but, and this is the quote, out of an abundance of caution. It's like they physically unplugged parts of the state's nervous system to prevent maybe wider damage. Really shows that dependency.
That's a significant move. It highlights that fear of lateral movement, where an attacker could potentially pivot from one system to another. Disconnecting is drastic, but sometimes necessary.
Now, amidst all this, officials have been really clear on one point, which is important for everyone listening. This is about state government systems only. It's not affecting your home internet, your Wi-Fi, your mobile phone service. That's separate.
Right. A crucial distinction. Personal connectivity isn't the issue here.
And there is a major positive note in all the chaos. 911 calls statewide, still going through. They remained available.
That is absolutely critical. The fact that 911 worked even when other law enforcement lines had problems. That points to really effective segmentation. It suggests those emergency systems are properly isolated, hardened. It's a best practice, and it looks like it held up here. It shows some level of deliberate strategic design for critical safety functions.
Okay, so we've got the picture, major disruption, but 911 is safe. Now, big question everyone's asking, ransomware. The state hasn't officially said, yes, it's ransomware, but, the signs are there, aren't they? What makes you suspect it so strongly?
Well, you're right. No official confirmation yet. But we look for patterns, right? And the pattern here is very telling. Three main things jump out. First, that sudden widespread loss of web and phone services, not a slow decline, just bang, offline. Second, the recovery time. We're talking multiple days already. That's typical for the painstaking process of cleaning and rebuilding after ransomware locks everything up. And third, the immediate federal involvement. The FBI, CISA, they usually step in fast for major incidents like this. Reuters even noted the pattern fits ransom-seeking hackers perfectly. So yeah, while we wait for confirmation, it looks very, very much like ransomware.
Walks like a duck, quacks like a duck.
It's looking very duck-like, yes.
So, assuming it's likely ransomware, what's the state actually doing? What's the official response on the ground?
The Governor's Technology Office, the GTO, they're leading the charge. And their main focus, which is absolutely the right move, is on validating systems before restoration. What that means, essentially, is they can't just turn things back on. They have to assume every system might be infected. So, meticulous cleaning, testing, making sure the malware is gone before reconnecting, it prevents reinfection.
That sounds slow, painstaking.
It is. It has to be. They're also trying temporary workarounds like rerouting things to keep some services limping along if possible. And coordination is key. The FBI is actively helping, providing investigative resources.
Yeah.
CISA, the federal cybersecurity agency, is tracking it, sharing intel, collaborating with the state team. It's an all-hands-on-deck situation.
And what about people's data? Personal information. That's always the worry.
Huge worry.
Yeah.
As of Monday, the official line was they had no reason to believe personal data was compromised at that time. But, and this is a big but, modern ransomware often involves data theft too. It's called double extortion. They encrypt your files and steal copies to pressure you into paying.
So just because they haven't found evidence yet doesn't mean it didn't happen.
Exactly. So no confirmed data theft yet. But the state was smart to warn people about phishing scams during the recovery. Scammers love to exploit confusion like this. We really need to wait for the full forensic analysis to know for sure if data walked out the door. Until then, caution is definitely the word.
This whole Nevada situation, it feels like a symptom of a bigger problem, doesn't it? It's not just Nevada.
Oh, absolutely. This is part of a much broader and frankly worsening trend. Think about this. The FBI, in their briefing back in April 2025, they flat out said ransomware was the #1 cyber threat to U.S. critical infrastructure in 2024. And complaints to their Internet Crime Complaint Center, the IC3, were up 9% just year over year. It's relentless.
And public sector targets, state governments, local governments, schools, they seem to be hit particularly hard.
They really are. MCSoft tracks this, and their 2024 snapshot showed a sharp rise in attacks against government entities. And you have to remember, these agencies are often dealing with, well, older systems, tighter budgets. It makes them attractive, sometimes easier, targets for sophisticated attackers. Plus, we're hearing real concerns from state and local leaders about cuts to federal support programs, like funding for the MSISA, that's the Multi-State Info Sharing Center, which is vital for threat intelligence. Less support makes it even harder to stay prepared.
So they're facing bigger threats with potentially fewer resources. That's a tough spot.
It's an incredibly tough spot. Nevada is really just a very visible example of these systemic pressures. It's not just about tech. It's about resources, priorities, dealing with legacy debt while facing advanced adversaries.
Okay, so that's the bigger picture. Bringing it back to Nevada's specific response now, you mentioned they're following best practices like validating systems.
Yes, the validation before restoration is straight from CISA's Stop Ransomware playbook. That's good. And like we discussed, the fact 9/11 stayed up while other, maybe adjacent law enforcement lines were shaky. That suggests good isolation of truly critical services. That's a positive sign of some level of preparedness, or at least effective emergency segmentation.
But even with those good steps, what are the risks that are still sort of hanging out there, operationally and with data?
Well, the operational risk is clear from the multi-day disruption, right? Licensing, admin workflows, even those traffic signs. It shows how tangled these state systems are. One hit causes major ripples. That dependency is the risk. And the data risk, well, it lingers until proven otherwise. That threat of double extortion encryption plus theft is standard now. So even though Nevada hasn't confirmed data loss, keeping an eye on dark web leak sites where attackers post stolen data is, unfortunately, a prudent step until the state gives the all-clear based on forensics.
It really raises that fundamental question, doesn't it? Nevada's doing the cleanup now, following the rules, but how do we stop this from happening again and again? How do we bolster that underlying security?
That's the million-dollar question, maybe billion-dollar question. And CISA's guidance provides the blueprint, really. It comes down to fundamentals, done consistently. Frequent, offline, and immutable backups. Backups attackers can't delete or encrypt. Robust endpoint detection and response, EDR everywhere, watching all those servers and workstations constantly, strong network segmentation breaking the network into isolated zones, strict controls like multi-factor authentication, MFA, not just for some things but for everything, patching systems quickly, especially anything facing the internet, and crucially, practice. Regular tabletop exercises simulating these exact scenarios involving not just IT, but law enforcement, communications teams, everyone.
So it's about building those defenses layer by layer and practicing the response.
Exactly. These aren't just checkboxes. They're about building genuine resilience against threats that aren't going away.
Okay, let's quickly recap them. We've got a major network incident in Nevada, ongoing as we speak. All signs point strongly towards ransomware. The impact has been broad across state services, though thankfully critical 9/11 systems held up. And this whole thing is set against that backdrop of rising cyber threats targeting the public sector. So for you listening, what should you keep an eye on as this unfolds? First, attribution. Will a specific ransomware group claim responsibility? Will they post a proof pack on a leak site trying to prove they stole data? That's often the next shoe to drop. Second, watch the restoration. When does nv.gov fully come back? When are phone lines stable? When do they turn those traffic cameras and signs back on? The pace tells us a lot. And third, the official word. We're waiting for Nevada to confirm or deny ransomware based on their forensics, and critically, to tell us definitively if any personal data was compromised.
And maybe one final thought to leave you with. This Nevada situation, it's more than just tech news. It's a really potent reminder of how much our daily lives lean on this digital plumbing that's often invisible until it breaks. Getting a license, interacting with state agencies, even just driving down the freeway. It all relies on these systems, so maybe this prompts a question for you. How does seeing this unfold change how you think about your own interactions with public digital services? And maybe that silent vulnerability that sits underneath it all, does it make you see it with perhaps more aware eyes?
That's a really important perspective, something for all of us to think about. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive today. Stay curious, stay informed, and we'll be back soon to explore another critical topic.